You can pretty much compare job search to a puzzle. To get a job, you'll need to find and put every piece of your job search at the right place. One of these pieces can be your resume. It's not always easy to solve this puzzle. Sometimes you can get stuck on some parts for too long. When this happens, a puzzle has a short manual to find clues and answers. However, the manual for resumes is the internet. You'll need hours and hours of search to find how to make a great resume for your case. The problem and the difference with a real puzzle is there isn't one way to have a great resume. A resume's only goal is to get you an interview, and since this goal is pretty broad, a lot of resume formats and tips can help you out. So what can you do to write the best resume possible and avoid mistakes? One thing you can do is choose an expert you like and follow their guidelines from A to Z. Then assess your results and tweak your strategy along the way. Today, the expert I want to collab with is Kyle Elliott. He's a fellow career coach specifically in the Silicon Valley area where he already helped professionals land jobs at Facebook, Microsoft, Amazon, Netflix, and more. And with him today in this video, we'll go over 5 popular mistakes that from his experience a lot of people are making in their resumes and how to solve them to get you more interviews. And watch until the end because you'll see that he will share insider tips that come from the experience of working with hundreds of professionals, so he knows what works and what doesn't. So let's call him right now. Hey Kyle, how are you?
Good. I am doing so well. Thank you for having me today. I'm excited to be chatting with you.
Awesome. Well, thank you for taking the time to jump on this call and telling us a little bit more about your resume experience. So a couple of weeks ago when we were talking, you were saying that that there are many popular mistakes that people were making on their resumes. So today we're going to talk about that. So I think you have the 5 most popular mistakes that you're seeing right now. So can you tell us a little bit more about the first one?
Yeah, so the biggest mistake I see people making is that they are not specific enough in regard to what they're targeting. People come to me, I just had a consultation today, and they're like, Kyle, I'm open to doing a strategy role. I'm open to being in business ops. I could also be a CFO. And they're really broad in regard to what they're targeting. They say, Kyle, I could do a startup. I'm also open to Fortune 100 in Silicon Valley. They're just all over the place. And a lot of this, particularly during COVID, people are saying, Kyle, I just need a job, I'll take anything. And what happens is when a recruiter or a hiring manager sees that, they're like, you're all over the place. You don't know what you want. How am I supposed to do anything with you? So instead, I encourage people to get specific, say, here's the industry I want, here's the type of company, here's the function, and even a sub-function. So you could say, okay, I want to work in SaaS. I want to be at a Fortune 100 company. I want to do HR. And then within HR, I want to do compliance. So the more specific you can get, the better. And while once you do that, you may have less roles you're applying to, you're going to get a way better response rate.
Yeah, I think you'll be more focused. Even like in your job search strategy, the more focused you are, the better results you'll get, just because you're just aiming for 1 or 2 things max. So I totally understand that. Do you have any tips on like how to get like this specific inside the resume?
Yes. So the thing is, you want to work backwards from the job posting. So I have folders and I print out the job postings for every resume I write, and I work backwards from that. So if they're looking for something, you want to make sure you have that on your resume. Well, what happens is I have clients say, oh yeah, I hit all those marks that they're looking for. And then I look at their resume and I say, if I'm reading between the lines and you and I talk, I can figure this out. But when a recruiter only spends 6, 10, 15 seconds looking at the resume, that's missing. So what I want you to do is take language from the job posting and infuse it in your resume. But if you're applying for business roles and strategy roles and FO roles, what's going to happen is that's going to be all over the place, and you're going to be putting 3 different job posting languages into your resume. So instead, you want to just narrow down on one to make that job as a job seeker easier for yourself.
Yeah, I got it. Yeah, even as an HR manager, reading a resume and having wording like from, I don't know, like 10 types of jobs, like it can be misleading. So I can understand that. Okay, thanks so much. Yeah, the first one is awesome. How about the second resume mistake then?
Yeah, so the second mistake I see is people blend in. What happens is they find a resume template online, they see advice in regard to the cover letter, and I'm like, oh my gosh, every single consult I have, the
Yeah.
clients look the same in regard to how they're presenting themselves, despite the fact that their experiences are really diverse. So the thing is, you don't want to just present yourself like everyone else. You want to figure out what sets you apart. The question I like asking is, okay, there's 1,000, 5,000, 10,000 people applying for this role. What sets you apart from them? I want you to write out a list. Here's 5, 10 things that set me apart from everyone else. And
Mhm.
once you have that list down, I want you to then add that to your cover letter, add it to your resume, add it to your LinkedIn, and show it off. We want you to be here and then everyone else to be in this other pile. And for you to say, here's what really sets me apart from
Mhm.
everyone else. And really just avoid blending in.
That's true. That's true. Can you give an example? For example, I just graduated. I have the same degree as, I don't know, 500 people. I'm looking for the same job, let's say in business. How are the one or two things where I can differentiate myself? What are you thinking of?
Yeah, so I worked on college campuses for over 5 years. So a lot of my experience is working with college students, recent grads. And what happens is they come to me and say just that. I don't have anything that's unique or fabulous about me. But as I start digging, okay, maybe you took classes that are different than other people. Maybe you have extracurricular activities that are different. Maybe you're like me and you started working when you were 14 at a local diner, and then you were a full-time server at Denny's
Yeah.
for 2 years during high school. There's things that are different about you, and it can be hard to see it when you're inside the bottle. So sometimes it can be helpful to ask friends or family members. I have clients do this all the time. Text a few people, what makes me fabulous, and ask them to give you that feedback, or even look at performance evaluations you've received. Even
Mhm.
as a student, go look at papers and what feedback do teachers give you, because they gave different feedback to different students, and you can
True.
gather that feedback and use it. Did you have an
Yeah.
internship? Did you have a student job? There has to be things that set you apart. It just takes a little digging to figure out what it is.
It's true. And then just extract maybe the skills or experience you got from those differentiators and then tell them like during the interview or in your resume just to set you apart, like you said. Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. How about then let's move on to the third mistake then.
Yeah, so that builds off the last one. And what I am a fan of is personality on resumes. And I see a lot of people lack personality. I know nothing about them as a human or what it's like working with you. And I had an executive I was working with recently, and he said, you know what it comes down to when I hire people? Do I want to be stuck in an airport with you for 4 hours? Like, am I going to be okay with you at an airport for 4 hours? Or are you
Mhm.
going to drive me bonkers? So I'm a huge, huge proponent of including testimonials on resumes to just showcase your personality. Because I can say I'm amazing and fabulous, but if other people say that, it just takes it up a notch. And you can really learn about someone's personality through a few testimonials on their resume.
It's true. How do you recommend putting those testimonials? Like, for example, I'm working at a company. Do I ask my colleague, my manager for a testimonial, and then I take that sentence and put it inside my work experience? Or how do you go about it?
Yeah, you want to be careful with people you work with just in case they don't know you're job searching. But if you're able to ask current colleagues, that's great. You can ask past colleagues. If you have performance evaluations, when I write resumes, one of the things I do is ask clients for any performance evaluations they have and just take a sentence or two out. Talked about students. So if you're a current or former student, you have letters of rec when you're applying for school, that's great. My
Yeah.
clients are mostly senior managers and executives. So when they went back for their MBAs, they have letters of rec. So I pull out sentences from there. So they don't have to be long, just one sentence, two sentences that say how amazing and fabulous you are.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I think it's a great add to your LinkedIn profile where you can see your recommendations. Putting it in your resume can be powerful as well. Yeah, I can see the value in that. Great. Let's move on to the fourth mistake then. We're in fourth, right? Yeah. Fourth.
Yes, we're at number 4. um, the number 4 is really the job seeker does not have the recruiter or hiring manager in mind. So when I'm reading a resume, I am thinking about the hiring manager, the CEO, and why your role matters to them. So if you're talking about, here's what I do day to day, that doesn't matter to the CEO or the hiring manager or your boss. What matters is, are you saving money? And one of my favorite questions to ask is, if they were doing a reduction in force at your organization, they laid off half the team, why should they keep you? What would be your reasoning or your plea please keep my role. And those are powerful bullets. You wouldn't say,
Wow.
I developed and designed X program. Okay, but why would that matter? You would focus on the money you generated, the improved customer experience, the cost savings. You really want to dig deeper and a few levels below the surface beyond here's what I do every day. Because
Mhm.
when we just get to the surface, for example, I'm a resume writer. People don't hire me because I write resumes. They hire me because I help them find jobs they love. And by doing that, I help them make money so they can afford their mortgages and keep roofs over their heads. That's why they hire me. And that's the real accomplishments, is helping people find
Exactly.
jobs
It's
they love and the happiness.
It's all about the benefits you're bringing to the company, not actually what you're doing. Yeah, I always say that as well. We don't really care about your tasks. Like, I know what you're doing. Like, if you say you're a project manager, I can go on Google and see like what a project manager does. Like, I don't care. Tell me like what you accomplished or what results did you have like in your previous role. And I think that the metaphor and the question that you ask, like if they laid off half of the company, why should they keep you? I think it's powerful. Like, it's frightening a little bit. So it pushes you to think. Yeah, it's great. It's great. Love it.
Especially now with COVID, a lot of people are getting laid off. So it really gets you to dig deeper and be like, here's the true value I have to offer the company. And it goes to our point earlier, what sets you apart from everyone else? And
Mhm.
that's what your job is as a job seeker, to say, here's all the applicants and here's what makes me different. You're really helping the recruiter make it easier to pass your resume along to the hiring manager.
Yeah, awesome. I like it. Yeah, there's a tons of value. So I hope like people will actually take action and do the avoid these mistakes. So let's see the let's talk about the last mistake that you're seeing in resumes.
Yeah, so this is somewhat about resumes and more broadly. The fifth mistake is people assume a resume is a silver bullet. So they write their resume, they update it, it looks beautiful. They have recruiters, hiring managers give them feedback, and then they just send out their resume to hundreds of companies and then sit and wait. And that's a huge mistake. There's way more to the puzzle. Having a strategic, intentional resume is key, but it's just one part of the puzzle. There's also applying to the right jobs, there's networking, there's actually going into the room and interviewing, there's
Hmm.
sealing the deal and salary negotiation. So it's important to recognize that the resume is only one part of the whole process. I know when I work with clients, I don't just offer resume services. They have to buy it as part of the cover letter, LinkedIn, and job search strategy, because
Yeah.
it's silly. You wouldn't just brush your teeth and not use toothpaste. So I'm not going to give you a resume and not talk about your job search plan and networking and applying for jobs, because it's just silly. It doesn't make sense to me. So it's
Yeah.
important as a job seeker to recognize that the resume is important, but it's not everything.
Yeah, it's true, and you also want to maximize the results your clients get. So I feel that that's why you offer the cover letter, like LinkedIn profile, and everything related to that. So yeah, of course, yeah. Sometimes like I have some like discussions with other people, and their main focus is just their resumes. They think that the main problem is there, but yeah, absolutely. I think that it's just a part of the puzzle, and you have to get it right, but you have to get right like other parts as well if you want to land that job that you want. Oh, that's awesome.
I think it's easy to focus on the resume. That's something we can control. And what happens is we can edit our resume over and over, do different formatting, rewrite things, get feedback on it. And it's a lot more difficult and scary to network, to reach
Yeah.
out to people, to get feedback on how we interview. So what happens is we focus on the resume because it's easier and don't tackle those more difficult but also critical components like interviewing and networking, which you also need to work on. So it's
Yeah.
easy to just obsess and ruminate over your resume instead of focusing on those other components that you need to work on as well.
Definitely, yeah. I think you're right. Yeah, we tend to focus on the easiest task, and because we fear the things that we can't control. I think one of the most popular things is that people don't like to network or just send messages on LinkedIn because they fear the rejection or other things like that. But I think it's just part of the game if you want to land your dream job, let's say.
Exactly. And recognizing too that networking, when you rename it something else, I ask my clients, what would you name networking if you couldn't use the word networking? And
Hmm.
ultimately, it's just relationship building. And most of my clients, again, they're senior managers, executives, their whole career, they've been networking. When you think of it in the terms of relationship building, and they're like,
Relationship
oh,
building.
this is really easy. I just have to go build relationships all day, Kyle. Why didn't you tell me that sooner? That's easy. So I encourage people, if you get nervous about networking, just remove the language and call it relationship building, and that might make it a little easier for you.
Awesome, awesome tip. Well, thanks so much, Cal, for all those tips. You mentioned that you currently like work with clients. Where can we find you online if any of the viewers is interested in working with you?
Yeah, so I spend tons of time on LinkedIn, Kyle Elliott with 2 L's and 2 T's in my last name, and then caffeinatedkyle.com is my website. So you're welcome to reach out, and I'm happy to chat with you about finding a job you love.
Awesome, thanks. Well, I'll put all the visuals inside the video and everything else so people will find you, and inside the description as well. So yeah, thanks so much, Kyle, for your time, and I find like all the information that you shared is valuable, and I hope like people will actually take action because it's really powerful. More importantly, at this time with COVID and everything else.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks so much. Bye. That was it for today's video. Hit the like button if you enjoyed it. For the YouTube algorithm, let me know in the comment section what idea about resumes we just mentioned with Kyle struck you the most. If you want more resume tips and other mistakes to avoid, then watch this video here. It'll be super fast and it'll be super valuable for you. And let me know what you thought of it in the comment section. Subscribe for more videos like this one. Like usual in this channel, I'm helping you get more interviews and ace more interviews. I'll talk to you soon. Ciao.